So suppose you are a successful businessman or celebrity with multi-million dollars in profit, and poverty and public welfare is far cry for you. Money flows in uncountable amounts, and what you hate the most is government taking cut of your money in form of tax. For you it is unfair, and you do everything to circumvent that tax, like money laundering, offshore companies, shell companies and whatnot. But one unfortunate day, you wake up to the news that the hidden world of offshore wealth worth trillions of dollars is leaked. How would you react? Hello, I'm Aman Garg and welcome to the weekly podcast where we discuss various socio-political issues. And yes, I know that this is second consecutive financial podcast in a row, but I swear to God it would be a different one next time. Revealed by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalism in October 2021, it consisted 12 million files sized almost 3 terabytes. To understand the leaks, let us first understand the basic of the problem. You see, taxes keep the country afloat. Government cannot print money on its will, right? But for filthy rich individuals and companies, the welfare of nation is least of their worry. The tax rate in India for income above 1 crore is 30%. A rich individual just won't hand that paper slip to government's hand so easily. Here comes the shady world of hiding income via money laundering, safe havens, shell companies, illegal real estate, unnamed properties, and thus the list goes on. So before we move on to the Pandora paper leaks, let us explore these tax evasion methods first. First is tax haven. These are basically the countries with no or almost nominal tax. So basically you can set up your company there and you won't have to pay a single penny of tax to the nation you operate on. For example, if you set up your company in Virgin Islands, you won't have to pay the 30% tax which you had to if you were to be located in India. In tax haven countries, there is no or nominal tax even for non-residents. There is a lack of transparency and usually they are politically stable. What is in it for those countries though? Well, they supplement their growth by these companies and make up for tax losses by increased prosperity, tax on imports, and registration and renewable costs in tens of thousands of dollars per company per year. These countries don't report account holders' information to other governments. Hence, they offer a good place for people to stash their money without paying taxes in home countries. This is seen as form of a tax evasion. A fun fact is that Sikkim is a tax-free state because Sikkim was merged in India under the condition that old laws will apply to it even after merger. So we saw that tax havens cost government hundreds of billions of dollars. Let us discuss the second part of the tax evasion, which was the shell companies. A shell company basically is a corporation without any operation. They are not illegal in themselves, but they are sometimes used illegally, such as to hide business ownership from authorities. The shell companies act as substitute to tax havens. They act as the tax avoidance vehicle. A famous example was with Apple. Paradise paper leak showed that Apple moved almost 230 billion US dollar with the assistance of an offshore law firm to Channel Islands of Jersey. Hence, the company avoided tens of billions of dollars in taxes through the shell company. We will only discuss these two tax evasion methods because this much understanding is enough to understand the Pandora paper leaks. Other methods include not selling your holdings in stocks, showing income by less taxed occupation, investing in real estate, etc. So let us discuss the actual leaks. There were similar leaks in 2016 called Panama Papers, but we will only discuss Pandora Papers, which are more recent. Published on 30th October 2021, yes, the previous year, the Pandora paper leaked by ICIJ exposed offshore tax haven accounts of 35 world leaders, including heads of many nations, as well as hundreds of billionaires, celebrities, etc. Sounds gigantic? Yes, because it is gigantic. The Pandora paper were almost 10 times in the size of the offshore leaks happened in 2013. Pandora Papers had 14 financial companies in tax havens like Panama, Switzerland, UAE, etc. Almost 600 journalists from 150 media outlets did this investigation. An Indian outlet, the Indian Express, was also involved in it. Not all the files showed irregularities, but there were plenty which did. Among these names were Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, former British PM Tony Blair, and former and the current leaders of Chile, Kenya, Qatar, UAE, Lebanon, etc. It is impossible to point out the exact amount, but ICIJ says $5 to $10 trillion is stored in tax havens. The International Monetary Fund says tax havens cost government around $600 billion in lost revenue each year. Let us see the involvement of Indian Senate. Reports say that Indians kept around 5 to 10 trillion dollars in Swiss bank, whereas Switzerland denies this claim, saying the amount is only 2 trillion dollars. That in itself is not a small amount either. So there were over 300 Indian names in leagues. So there were around 300 Indian names in the league. Famous personalities include Anil Ambani, having 18 offshore firms which invested $1.3 billion, Sachin Tendulkar's firm valued around $8.8 million, and the Nirav Modi's sister had set up a trust in British Virgin Island. A former Congress leader's trust accounts, the Kiran Majumdar Shaw's husband's $8 billion in assets, etc. While many of the investments are done to avoid taxes, they are not illegal if disclosures are made. Other big revelations include Putin's $4 million apartment in Monaco, the Qatari ruling family avoiding 18 million euros in taxes, and the 17 million euro spending by the King of Jordan, etc. There have been repeated calls for politicians to make it harder to avoid taxes or to hide assets. But you see, the people that are supposed to end the secrecy are themselves beneficiary of it. Hence, they don't have any incentive to take actions against it.